The weather's a little crappy still. I don't know if you can see the raindrops there on the glass. But I've got these really dark shades. So I closed the doors so I could get out of the rain. And it was really dark in here. And I didn't want to take these things all the way off. What's kind of nice is that because they're magnet, if you just fold them up, they'll stick to the metal pieces. So it gives me plenty of room to still have good light in here, do a little work. So I was over at my friend's house dropping off his bike the other day, and he gave me some boxes in this bin. I thought this bin would be a good place to kind of put these tools in for now. That way I can move things around a little bit. I want to get this area here cleared out so that I can start kind of laying out my power grid. That's where I want to put my diesel heater. It seems like it's the best place. I could put it here, but the only problem is there's just enough room that with this door open, I can actually slide through here without having to put the lift down. So if I needed to get in and out, I could come in here or through the seat. So I really don't want to put anything right there. The only issue that I have where that's sitting is the rear suspension. The rear part of the leaf spring, I believe, is mounted almost directly under that. So I would need to figure out a way to have the exhaust and intake pipe go back a little bit so that I could clear that. So I could raise the heater up, but I have to watch that door catch so that I would have enough room without clipping it. Kind of where I ran into that problem with that wire right there. I'm just going to put a cover over the wire to protect it. But so I'm going to do a little cleaning, get some of this stuff put away. I still need to finish wiring this for the rear view camera, but because it's raining, I'm not going to be outside doing that. All right, now let's do a little work. All right, so we have a little clean spot. Just need to grab the extension cord so I can hook up the shop vac and get that all out of the way. And then I can get those two batteries out of there. I believe the way this is going to work is the batteries will sit next to each other long ways this way. And I should have enough room between the two. That's the goal. So we have our DC line, that is the original wheelchair line, and then we have our shore power that's coming in here. So both of those lines will get wired somehow into all of this. I have an inverter, a DC to DC charger, and a 10 amp 24 volt lithium ion battery charger that is designed to run off the shore power, regular house one. The only problem with that one is I'm going to have to figure out a way to mount it because it's an actual just a battery charger. So I'll need to make a bracket or get a bracket to secure it. But other than that, it shouldn't be that difficult. So it's a very simple system. The nice thing about my DC to DC charger, it actually is a two-way. So I can either charge it directly DC to DC, or if I had solar panels, it would charge. And from what I understand, it has an auto switch built into it. So if the van is off, then it automatically switches to the solar panel. And so it's a very simple system. We're not going to have, I'm not having appliances installed. Everything will run off in, whatever cord. My shore power breaker system has 4 outlets, so I'll probably mount it somewhere close to the back door. That way, if I'm hooked up to shore power, I can run an extension cord out the back to do whatever I want, like run tools or something like that. And then the inverter will most likely sit here I'm thinking, because it's huge, I'm thinking on top of this wheel well, and then I'll put a surge protector here, so I'll run off of that. And with the surge protector here, my wife's wheelchair will normally sit in this spot, and this would give us enough room to run like her ventilator, her suction machines, things like that. Everything will be where I can just reach and plug in. If I need to plug in my laptop, it'll be right here as well. So this is a very simple system. I mean, it's almost like a no-build van deal. What I would like to do, I'm thinking of replacing these 2 plastic panels, and maybe even those 2 up there, with metal panels. I'll take these out and then trace them out on a piece of metal, and then I can use magnets to stick stuff here to these walls. If I get super magnets, I can put hooks on them or whatever, and then I could hang things off of these back doors as well. Because one of the items that is coming with us is the dream catcher my wife got me, and I'm definitely going to take that with me. And it's actually probably big enough. These doors are big enough that it will fit on here, which is kind of cool. Because I was going to put it on that, but then it won't be seen. Can't really block the windows with it, but I think on this back door, one of them would be a good spot for it. Now that I'm looking at how wide those damn things are. And it looks like this one, it's got to be an optical illusion, but that one looks bigger than this one. Huh, strange. Okay. And then I have a shelving system that I've decided on. It's going to be super light, super simple. We're going to have some brackets that will screw into the main frame of the van here and in that back corner. And then we'll have a rack across here, and we'll have baskets up here. And I will take this panel and move it to this side. So I still have the plastic sheet. I'm going to cut it down. That's going to fit that gap. And then we'll still have that. And then we'll just have that. Regretfully, at some point, I'm going to have to figure out what's up with this lighting. Because none of the lights in this back area work. And I've looked at the fuse. At least I think it's the right fuse. And it looked good. So either I'm looking at the wrong fuse, or there's another issue someplace. I do have a power probe. I just have to dig it out and back trace the wire, because I'm assuming it's this wire, but I'm not 100% sure. So, all right. So next thing, I guess, like I said, I'm going to get the vacuum, suck this crap up. Then I'm going to get the inverter, and I'll bring it out here. Somewhere around here I have some screws to mount it to the wall, so we'll have to hunt that down before I get too carried away. All right, so these are packed in here pretty good. I've had to rip this foam because I can't get it to slide up, so I'm assuming it's all glued. But here's our manual. Alright, there's a box of something down there, so we'll dig all that out. Yeah, I'm gonna need the handle. Shit, I can't even get to the handle on this side. Oh, shit. Alright, so I'm gonna have to dig that out of there. Oh, I like the fact that the positive and negative are at that end. So that'll make life a little easier, because I can keep the wires nice and short. I can keep everything close to this body panel. So it looks like I'm going to need to tip this to get this out of here. So back in a second. Okay, that punk is heavy. So 12.8 volts, 300 amp hour. I can't remember. For some reason, I want to say that this had like Bluetooth technology or some shit. I don't remember. But it's a nice looking battery. Nice, all sealed and everything. So we'll dig the other one out of the box. And I got the box out of there. How do I open it? Let's see what is in the box. Oh. There's a little charger. Cool. Apparently it comes with its own charger. So then at least I have a backup charger. Wow, those are some thin ass cables. But at least I can independently charge them. And if nothing else, I can always throw this in my tools in case the other charger dies. I will still have a charger to be able to charge them. This says it's a LiPo charger. Alright, cool. I didn't know it came with a charger. That's kind of cool. I don't know if both batteries did, but I guess that's what we'll do today is throw them on the charger, get them topped off, and then we'll go from there. So let me get this other one out. I'll get these set where I'm right now. Everything is just going to be fitting. I kind of drew up a map of how things are going to work, so we'll see. I haven't decided if I want to run them long ways or not. We'll figure it out. All right, back in a sec. All right, so I'm kind of thinking this is the way I want it, with the battery connections at the end closest to where everything's going to be mounted. That way we don't have a whole lot of extra cable laying around. I am going to run these, the two 12 volts as a 24 volt system. I did, because I bought extra line to run for the wheelchair lift. I just got 1/0 cable, and which will be overkill for the system, but I might as well go big or go home. So I kind of like this layout. I was thinking about turning them, but I think this works pretty good. I can put a plate here, one on the side and one on this side, and that will keep them from moving around. So I think that will work out pretty good. It does say, where did I read that? Oh, it's on the side of the battery here. I was like, where did I just read that? It does say that they do need to be fully charged, so I'm going to charge them both. What I need to do, because the weather's shitty, I don't want to leave the van door open, but what I was thinking about doing is pulling this battery cable back through, and then I think I have a cord that will fit down inside there, because my extension cord plug does not. It's way too big. But I think I have a smaller plug someplace that I can hook into, and then I'll be able to hook up the two chargers and charge it. So that's going to be that. We'll charge it when I'm done doing all this other stuff. But the next thing I want to do is grab the inverter I have, and we will kind of, I'm waiting. I got to go hunt down the bolts. I know I bought bolts for this part of the project. Regretfully, with the house tore apart with trying to pack for moving and trying to do this at the same time, things are getting shuffled into the wrong piles. So we have our inverter. It's right here. This is power inverter. It's supposed to be a pure. This is some cabling that came with it. This is a 24 volt inverter, 4,000 with 8,000 peak, which I think for what we're going to run, the wheelchair and the vents and stuff, they don't pull a lot of power. Especially like her wheelchair, it's already 24 volt, and it has its own charging system, so we probably won't need this. We'll just connect straight into the power bank when we need to, and just use her charger, but we'll see how things pan out. So yeah, this is a chunky boy. So power's on this end, which works out perfectly. On this end, we've got a display panel. We've got a couple USBs. We've got 4 110 plugs. We've got a line in and PE, on and off, type C. I want to say it must have been the other one. I had bought another one, but I sent it back because it wasn't as big as this one. This is actually better and cheaper, but the other one had a remote display that you could put on the dash, and it had the wiring to run up the dash. I guess this one doesn't have it. It doesn't really matter, but I'm thinking right here above this wheel arch be a good spot. That still gives me tons of room. I am going to measure the bed. That's the next thing I'm going to do. So while I'm waiting for these parts, I'm going to probably get the bed bracing set up. That way at least I have an idea how high everything has to be. But we're going to be at least 36 inches from the floor to the bracket, and then the bracket actually drops 5 inches. So the bottom of the cross beam, or whatever you want to call it, for the bed will be 5 inches down, and then the mattress will be 5 inches taller. So it will be a game. So yeah, like I said, I'm trying to keep it at hip height for me, which is about 36 inches. So that is the goal. So yeah, let me just set this up here real quick and see what we get. I'm having to hold it with one hand because it's not level. So I'm thinking at least as high as that plastic arch, so that it's not just resting on the wheel arch. So give ourselves about inch and a half of clearance. That would be a little better. But yeah, that fits in there perfectly. It doesn't stick out past the wheel arch. We have our cables here, so we'll be able to go from our bus bars and everything real easy. I'm going to put a switch in here, so it will be either shore power or battery. That you can't, I bought one of the ones that you can't run both at the same time, so that will work out. But yeah, so I definitely need some hefty screws for this, because this bad boy is a little heavy and we don't want it pulling out. All right, so that's going to work out really good. So we'll just have to raise it up, like I said, about inch and a half, get it up off of the wheel arch there. But that's a good spot. All right, so I pushed the DC line from the battery, the original wheelchair lift power, through the hole, and then I found a surge protector that I had that was small enough to fit through, so I plugged into my orange cable from the house and put that there, and so now we are charging. So that's good to go. As you can see, maybe it is starting to rain again. We've got some nice black clouds. So we're gonna let these charge, and then I'm gonna go in the house and hunt down the hardware that I bought for this, so I can get that mounted. And I think once I have that mounted, I'll be able to mount the DC to DC charger, and we'll get that in here as well. We'll have to see how everything pans out, where we're going to put everything. But so that's where we're at. All right, so we're going to charge these for a bit, and then we'll come back in a few hours and check on them. But this way I can close the van up and still be charging, and I still have power unit, so I will be able to run a light in here if I want to work later. All right, back in a bit. All right, so this is my DC to DC charger. It is a 1224, so 12 volts and 24 volt. So that's it. All brand new. It's even got a battery temperature, so I guess you kind of wedge that down inside there. It's fairly straightforward to hook up. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of rocket science, but it also has the plugs for your solar panels, so that's convenient. So yeah, we've got, this is your PV plus. I think this one says alternator. That is your out, and that's your ground. So pretty simple setup, plus your temp. And then this is my 25.6. So like I said, this is not designed to be mounted. It's just a home portable one, but we're gonna mount this, that way it's connected to our shore power. And I'll just make a bracket. But now we have 3 chargers. I can charge the batteries individually if we have one that's not keeping a balanced load, and then this will charge both of them simultaneously. Pretty simple. It's got a couple of different wire ends here. So, all right, and I did find somewhere in here, I found a bag of my hardware, some bolts and screws and some nuts and washers. So that's all good. And hang on to these receipts, because when I'm trying to take stuff back, I keep losing the receipt. So we'll put the receipt over here where I'll lose it and I won't be able to find it later, but whatever. All right, so yeah, so this little guy I will mount somewhere up here, and same with that, we'll put it somewhere below the bed. But right now we're going to charge these, and we will do a little bit more doodling and sketching and figure out where everything needs to lay, so that we can start mounting things to the wall. So I have the upper 2 screws in, and that allowed me to draw my bottom. Basically, it looks pretty level to me. What I did was I just set it on these little dimples. There's a couple of them right here. And then I just measured at the top of this bracket, which is about 1 inch, which gave me the clearance I was looking for. So that's pretty good. So I just have to back this 1 screw out. Then I can drill the other 2 holes, and we can put it back together, and then tighten everything down, and it should be pretty stable. So that's going to be nice. And yeah, I like the way it works. All right, so I also went and hunted down some washers, just because the screws were close to being not big enough. So put some washers on that. Now that thing is solid on the wall. So that's part 1 done. Like I said, I've got a bunch of, I got bus bars, I've got breakers, I've got switches. Trying to figure out where I can mount everything so that it's out of the way. I'm kind of thinking I might be able to put the 12 volt right there. Let's see here. So maybe put the 12 volt right there. That way I can see the 12 volt and the inverter. That would work pretty good. I think that actually is a good spot. So I think I'm going to mark those holes, and we will put this guy right here. All right, so we have our inverter and we have our DC to DC mounted. I'm assuming I can put some bus bars right in there. I'm playing around with ideas where we're going to mount this charger at. I kind of like here, but I'm also kind of liking this space up here, so I could mount it something like this, and that would be out of the way, and then it would be close enough to the bus bars, which are probably going to end up right here. So I think we're pretty close. I mean, that's kind of jumped a long way. I've been kind of putting it off, and then, like I said, we still, if we needed to, we can still run, you know, solar from the top, come down this side, and go straight over to our 12-volt charger. So there's always that. So yeah, so we'll just have wiring and some switches and some breakers in here. I think we're pretty golden. And so either I will put a little something over this wire so that when I close the door, the little arm there doesn't hit it, or I can just leave the arm locked like it is against the door, and then I don't have to worry about it at all, and it just always be right out of the way. But either way, it should work. I'll just come up with something to protect that wire. But we are waiting for two pieces. The switch that will be able to tell us whether we're charging off of the DC or we're charging off of shore. We'll put that, I kind of like to put it right in the middle because I think that would be the best, but I also want it to be easily accessible, so maybe right in this area. Yeah, we'll have to see how that all plays out. Okay, so I guess we're gonna call this done for now, unless I come up with something else to do. But I think that works pretty good. And like I said, in the front there, I can just hang a surge protector, and that's where we'll just plug everything in, and we'll still have a few ports on the inverter, but we'll leave those mostly open for other things. Yeah. Yep, I'm just sitting here thinking what else I can do to this. I've been looking at a bunch of different schematics on how people laid out their systems, but you know, again, this is a really basic system. I just need to be able to charge a wheelchair. I need to be able to charge different, you know, medical equipment. We're not going to be putting a big load on it. My laptop doesn't draw a lot of power, but I think we're getting there. I think it looks pretty good. And then the next thing I need to do, and I'm waiting for some hardware, is to mount the brackets for the bed frame that we're putting in. So actually I should grab one of those bed frames. I'm just curious, because what I'm going to end up doing is I'll mount one side, and then using a level and one of the brackets, we'll go to the other side and mark it, because I'm not sure if everything's level, but we're going to make sure that at least the bed is sort of level. Nothing's square in these vans. I mean, all right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll pick up part 2 when we get the switches and we start wiring things in to figure out where everything's going to go. But I think we're pretty close. Catch you in the next one.